Hey everyone, this is Kingdom Mental Shift. Good day wherever you're watching from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. This is Kingdom Mental Shift, and we're at it again for an amazing time. We thank God for January. We thank God for February. We thank God for March. Thank God for April. Thank God for May. Thank God for June. Thank God for July. We thank God for August. We thank God for September. We thank God for October. Now we're thanking Him for November. Um, I want to thank God especially because He kept you and I, and we are alive, we are well. Till now, it's been a good time, and I want to just give God all the glory. It's just some few weeks to the end of 2025. Everything started just like yesterday, but we thank God for bringing us together again to learn. It's really, really been God all this time. Okay, so without wasting much of our time, we want to dive into the lesson of today. What a good time, to be alive. We have been on the Bible character series for some times now, and this is the third month. We've learned about Noah, we've learned from Daniel, and today we would continue by learning from Job. Okay, so um, if you're familiar, or should I say, if you have ever read the book of Job in the Bible, then you will know that the storyline. It started very well and then became very unpalatable, and then the ending was very good, right? Okay, so but then many of us never want that kind of life, I mean, Job kind of life, where it started good and then faced a lot of problems in the middle, and then at the end became good, right? All right, well. However, there are many lessons we can learn from Job's life. Okay. And one of the things that made Job stand out or that stood him out is because Job was the greatest man of his region. So, he would have made the Forbes of today. He would have been the top, would have been the wealthiest. Somewhere, somehow, he would have made, a legacy that we would be reading about. Okay. In our journey to greatness, we would need to learn from great men. We've learned from Noah, such a great man, architect of uh, uh, an ark. That ark was like a breakthrough in architecture, in what have you, anything you can call it. We learned from Daniel, such a great man who was, you know, like the third person of the government. He was a governor, he was in power, and he was a good man. And then today we're learning from Job, another very powerful man, stinkily rich and wealthy. And then we just need to keep learning so as to be able to get all the lessons we can, and we can also live a good life. All right, so if you've been following me, just let me know where you're watching from. Let me type your name in the comment section and let me know where you're watching from, uh, just to keep tab on some of us that are online and probably interact with us in the course of the program. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead to our first portion of the lesson today, which says, "Who was Job? Who was Job?" If you had a background like mine, of course, if you have been in church, when you're younger, or you know, if you have been to some certain kind of churches, you would have learned about this man called Job so many times. Okay, and one interesting thing we all know about Job is that Job was a man who lived in the land of Uz, you know, and which is believed to have been somewhere in the region of Edom or Arabia. Okay, and Job was known for his righteousness, for his, you know, he was a good man. The Bible recorded that he was a perfect man, upright. He was known for his faith. He was also known for his integrity. Okay. Job was one of the richest men of his time, like I said earlier, and he had a vast herd of livestock and many servants. Job had seven sons and three daughters. And Job also had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yokes of oxen, and 500 donkeys. Any man that has this equivalent is actually a great man. If you check it vividly, someone that has all this is actually wealthy. Okay. And then Job regularly offered, burnt offering for his children. That's one very important thing that we should note about this man called Job. Showing his devotion to God and his concern for their spiritual well-being. It was not just about himself, it was also about his children, it was about his family. The story takes a dramatic turn when Satan challenges Job's faith. And, he argues that, Job only serves God because he has been blessed with wealth and protection. Okay. And, God allowed Satan to test Job's faith, but, he put a boundary, it's within some limit. And, the first test was that Job lost his wealth and lost his children. A lot of disasters happened, consecutively on, in a particular day and even in a particular week. And Satan causes Job to lose. He lost his livestock, he lost his servant through raids and disasters, and then all his sons and daughters, through a storm that destroyed their house. The second test was affliction of the body. Satan was then permitted by God, after he had tried to tell God that, okay, uh, I think that it is because you have not made him sick. That's why he's still holding on to his faith. And then God permitted Satan to afflict Job's health. And, Job becomes covered with, painful boils from his head to toe. And, his wife, being overwhelmed by the grief, tells him to curse God and die. And in the event of things, three of his friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, came to comfort him. And they said all kind of things, saying that probably Job was looking at himself as a righteous person. They kept telling him that, oh, you are not the most righteous. Stop trying to be pious. Stop trying to be righteous. Stop trying to do like, yeah, the only good person, blah, 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 and all that. And then at the long run, at the end of it, the event, God restored Job. He restored his fortune twofold. You know, that is the story of Job in a nutshell. You would have heard of it, but then, of course, we had to do a recap again. If you've been following us till now, the least you can do is to like the video. And then if you have not subscribed, you kindly hit the subscribe button so that we can have more, stake on YouTube, so that YouTube can, pick it up and make it go more viral, so that we can be blessings to as many people as possible. Okay, so let's dive right into the next thing which are the lessons that we can bring, or the lessons that we drew out of the life of Job. Lessons from Job. What are the lessons? What are the things? What are the take home? What are the things we can see critically from the study of this Bible character named Job? The first lesson we see it here is that Job was a perfect and upright man. Job was a perfect and upright man. You know, if you look at the story very well, according to Job chapter 1, from verse 1, the Bible says there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright. The one that feared God and eschewed evil. Okay, so the first lesson we would see from this man called Job is that he was a perfect and upright man. The Bible made us to understand that Job feared God and shunned evil. You know, as people with kingdom mentality, we need to understand that one big quality we need to possess is that will, this particular quality is going to help us to be great in life, is the fear of God. Fear of God. Fear of God is a very, very scarce commodity in our generation. A lot of people have cursed God to his face, just because of challenges of life. People, because of the background that they came from, maybe because they don't even have what to eat, curse God to his face. They want to involve in anything to make it. They want to do anything at all costs. They don't care what happens to another person. They just want to be fine. You know, in this kind of generation that we have, the subject of Job is perfection, and its uprightness needs to be studied. We need to understand that God wants us to be like this man Job, who was perfect and upright in his generation. Okay, so I know that in our generation, so many people do not fear God anymore. Of course, in Nigeria, it's another very crazy story. Just because of the bad economy, we've seen people dabble into things, men, rejecting their good lifestyle, adopting a new one just so as to live, just so as to survive. People don't care anymore. Go into all kinds of fraudulent activities, all kinds of stealing, all kinds of mayhem. They don't care what happens to any other person as far as they can eat. That is the kind of thing that is happening right now. And of course, because the economy is bad, it aggravated the issue. Why should we still care about fearing God, right? In this kind of terrible economy and in this kind of world. Hmm. The truth is, if greatness is your pursuit, I mean, real greatness, as a matter of fact, we've been studying great men from the Bible. If you want their kind of life, you want to be influential, you want affluence, you want greatness, then you must live a good life. All these men that we've studied, we see that what even made them stood out in their generation was because they lived a good life. And so we have to learn as young people, youths that want to make change, that want to make, their generation good, as people who wants to be great. We need to learn to fear God and to run away from anything that looks like evil. Once you can settle this, you are already on a pedestal of greatness. Once you can settle this, from the life of Job, we see that once you can settle this, once you can become perfect, once you can become upright, once you fear God and run away from evil, you already placed yourself on a pedestal of greatness. So that is the first lesson that we learned from Job. All right. Okay, so let's move on to the next lesson from Job. I hope you have been following. If you're following, let me know. Just say, I'm following, I'm following, I'm following. Write a comment, write the things that you learn, write things that you got from what we've been talking about. All right, so the next one we'll be checking out is, another lesson from Job is that Job was a wealthy man. Job was a wealthy man. Somebody will say, how is this a lesson? Okay, let's go on. Let's check it out. The next lesson we would learn here is that Job was a very wealthy man. In fact, he was the wealthiest of all the men of the East in his time. Did we get that? He was the wealthiest of all the men of the East in his time. This already connotes that there is possibility of having a man that fears God and still wealthy. There is a possibility of having a man that fears God and is still wealthy. See, against all odds and all funny notions that we have here in our generation, nowadays you'd hear things like there's nobody that can be upright and be wealthy. You know, all funny notions that makes it looks like if any man fears God, he's going to die very poor. It was so bad that there was even a notion that they had to relate church with poverty by saying that somebody, people get poor like church rats. Did you see that? So, because people feels like anything related to God is poverty, but it's a lie, because here is Job. This man was wealthy. He has all the money. He has all the businesses. He has a good family, and yet he was still a good person. He was still a child of God. I know your friends have told you that the way you are living your life, uh, you're so good, you're so pious that you will really end up very poor. But that is a lie. That is a very big lie. You know, Job was a God fearing man, and yet he had wealth, a lot of it, a lot of it. So we need to understand that this is possible. Holiness and wealth can coexist. They are not enemies. As a matter of fact, they go hand in hand. This man was a good man and he was wealthy. See, one thing you just need as a young person is an enterprise. You need an enterprise. Once you have an enterprise, you would be blessed. You need to venture into something that God can bless. Job was into animal husbandry. Remember, he had sheep, he had yokes of oxen. You need to do something with your life. My question is, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Which business have you ventured into that God can bless? You need to venture into something. It is when a man start doing a business that we will start praying for the blessing of God. It is when your hand is doing something. What is the work of your hand? So we need to understand that one thing that we need in our generation is that as young people, we need to learn to build enterprises. Once we have enterprises, then the blessing of God comes on it, and then you're set. Don't let them deceive you that you have to go into fraud to become wealthy. Don't get deceived that you have to be brutal and wicked to become wealthy. You can be a good man and you can still be wealthy. You can be a good man and still be wealthy. All right. If you have been following us uh, since we started, Please drop the notes, drop things you learned in the comment section. Let me know if you're following. Let me know if you're following. Just say, I'm still following, I'm still following, I'm still following. And then uh, if you have, gotten right here and you're not subscribed yet, please kindly hit the subscribe button so that we can have more subscribers. Kindly like the video also so that YouTube algorithm can pick it and show it to more people. That is the least you can do. You don't pay to subscribe. You don't pay. It's free, so it doesn't bite. Okay, so let's dive right into the next lesson. The next lesson that we'll learn from the life of Job is that Job had a burning family altar. Job had a burning family altar. Listen, the Bible records that Job used to, you know, sanctify his children. If you look at the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 5, Bible says it was so when the days of the feasting were gone about, and Job sent and sanctified them like his children. He rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of his children. And Job said that it may be that some of his sons had seen and falsehood in their heart. This Job did continually. The first thing you see that Job rose up early in the morning. Please, if you desire greatness, learn how to have a culture of fellowship with God early in the morning, continually. Let these words ring in your mind. Job does this early and he does it continually. Job was a man of prayer and sacrifice. He was always praying and making sacrifices for himself and for his family. One interesting lesson we need to learn from Job is that we must not joke with our prayer time, with our quiet time, with our study time. Don't joke with the time set apart to relate with God. See, as a matter of fact, we need to have a culture of prayer. You need to make it your lifestyle, inculcate it, just turn it to an habit. Make prayer your lifestyle. Make prayer your lifestyle. We're young people. Being young is not synonymous to prayerlessness. Being young doesn't mean you should not pray. Being young doesn't mean you cannot study your Bible. Being young doesn't mean you cannot fellowship with God. So we need a culture of prayer. We need a culture of devotion. We need to structure our lives in such a way that we would always have time to pray and commune with God. You need to structure your life in such a way that you always have time to commune with God. Job always does this early in the morning. Will your own be early in the morning too? Pick a particular time where you fellowship with God and then do it continually. Don't stop. Structure your life that way. If you are not praying yourself, attend online prayer meetings. There are so many online prayer meetings you can attend. There is Wonders Without Number, there is NSPPD, there is Covenant Hour of Prayer. There's so many prayer. There is one for CCI too. There are so many, prayer, programs that happens daily that can help your prayer life. Please connect with them so that it can imbibe in you an habit and a culture of prayer. Listen to messages so as to help your praying and study life. Just try it. Try to have a time of fellowship because the more you fellowship, the better person you become. We just need to have a structure that makes us or that helps us to pray and commune with God. Listen to me. If you want to have a great life, you need to maintain a relationship with the God that makes men great. God makes men great. God makes men great. So if you want to be great, you need to You need to align with the God of greatness. You need to always commune with Him. You need to make sure that praying and studying of the Word of God is part of your daily routine. Make it a part of your life. Doing this for yourself will help you to be a good person and to also be a candidate of greatness. Did we get that? Can you type in the comment section and say that I will have a burning altar? I will have a burning altar. And then, youths, another thing we have to know is that you must also have a burning family altar. Aside your own altar, you must carry your family along. Some of us are already married, some are about to be married. Please, in a couple of years, some will be married. Please inculcate a family altar. Carry your children along, carry your wife along. Make sure that you're always in fellowship with God. Type in the comment section, say, I would always be in fellowship with God. I would have a family altar. I would have a personal burning altar. All right. If you have been following, just type something, type things you've learned. Let me know, say, I've been following, you know, just so that I can know that you have been following. All right, let's dive into the next lesson from Job. The next lesson from Job is that there is no perfect church. There is no perfect church. This is what I mean. If you check the book of Job, if you check chapter 1, chapter 1, you will check verse 6. The Bible says now that now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. Satan came also among them. What does it tell you? That tells you that even where the sons of God are gathering, Satan is part of them. So, of course, that can be a perfect gathering. One lesson we need to learn from the story of Job is that there is no perfect church. In fact, the Bible recorded just where we read that when the sons of God come together, Satan is also among them. So this made us understand that right there in the church, there are devils. Oh, you wonder why people steal inside the church. You wonder why you can be in the church and then your phone is stolen. You wonder why you can be in church and even Bible is stolen. Like Bible is being stolen. Somebody wants to read Bible and he still steals it. You can imagine. He steals the Bible that he wants to go and read up. What does the person who steals Bible want to do with it? Is it not read? You can imagine that. So there are thieves in the church. There are devils in the church. There are a lot of imperfect people like yourself, like myself in the church who are working towards perfection. So having this knowledge already helps you to know how to relate with people. Just know that everybody is diving towards perfection. In fact, as a matter of fact, even if a church has been perfect, as soon as you enter the church, it becomes imperfect. It becomes imperfect. You need to understand that there are all kinds of people in the church, and this will help you to know how to relate with people so that you not get hurt. Before you tell me that, you see what they did to me in the church. Who do you think are in the church? The church does not have saints yet. If saints are already there, they will just go to heaven. So church is getting perfecting. We are all trying to be saints. So this helps you to know how to behave. We are all striving towards perfection. And just like I said, the moment you enter a church, even if the church was perfect before, as soon as you enter, the church becomes imperfect. So please don't leave the church because somebody offended you. I don't know why you're expecting to meet perfect people in church. People can offend you in church. People can step on your toes in church. People can get you offended in church. As a matter of fact, if you were working in an organization, if somebody offends you in the organization, will you write will you resign? Will you terminate your appointment yourself? Will you leave the job? So if you wouldn't do that, then why are you getting angry in the church? So you just have to know the kind of people that are in the church, and this will help you to, it will help your expectation, and it will also help you to know how to behave. Okay, so trust me, there's no perfect church. All right, this is another amazing lesson that we can learn from Job. Okay, so I hope we got that. Let's dive into the last lesson that I'll be doing today. We have so many lessons, we just have to stop at the last lesson here today. The fifth lesson is that we need to love God unconditionally. We need to love God unconditionally. We need to love God unconditionally. You know, many of us are bread and butter Christian. What do I mean? I mean that we only came to God because of our needs. It is only when things are good that we are children of God. Once things are bad, we get angry, we flare up at God and become very angry. See, one thing you have to understand in the story of Job is that Satan had to put it to God that Job was serving him because of material wealth alone. He said, like he told God that, because he made a head about him, about his house, about all that he had. Is it not because they have blessed the work of his hand? Is it not because his substance is increased in the land? Is it not because of that he loves you? He put it to God, and God had to prove the devil wrong. As Christians, we need to move from a state of loving God because of materials and situations and circumstances to loving Him unconditionally. That thing you're asking God for, what if He doesn't do it? We used to go to church, we used to pray, we used to fellowship, right? We used to love Him. We used to love Him. So, one very important lesson, the last lesson we'll be learning today from the story of Job is that we all need to draw this from the life of Job, that Job loved God unconditionally. The Bible says, in all that happened to Job, Job did not sin. He did not, charge God foolishly. Okay? Did not charge God foolishly. Some of us, any small thing that happens, you started telling God that, God, are you there? As if you killed him, as if you dethroned him. God, are you on the throne? Did you dethrone him? We want to start saying a lot of things, start saying, oh, I don't think God is alive. Oh, God, if you are alive. We need to move past that phase of Christianity to a better one, which is called unconditional love Christianity. We need to move from a state of loving God because of material things to loving Him unconditionally. You are not loving Him for cars, you're not loving Him for the house, you're not loving Him for the lands, you're not loving Him for the livestock, you're not loving Him for the fat salary, you're not loving Him because there's still food. You are just loving God. Let us be like Job. He loved God. With all that happened to him, a lot of atrocities happened to him, so many things happened to him, yet he loved God. Please let us learn to love God unconditionally. We need to learn it. We need to imbibe it. We need to know that even if our prayers are not answered, we still love Him. The moment God knows that you're not with Him for things, He will start blessing you. Some of us, the reason why God has not answered our prayers is because He knows that once He answers our prayers, we will not serve Him again. We will run away. We will deny Him immediately. We need to move past that conditional love to unconditional love and make sure that we live that kind of life. This and many other things are the things that we can learn, the many lessons that we can learn from the story of Job. Okay, so this is where we'll be wrapping it up. We always don't want it to be too long so that we can easily rewatch for people that couldn't join when the program is up. If you have followed us till now, you should know that you have to like the video, drop a comment so that the YouTube algorithm can pick it up. So far, I hope we have been blessed. I hope we have been blessed. We will just need to stop here and we'll continue another time. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section. It will be answered right there in the comment section. If you are on our WhatsApp page, you can drop it on the WhatsApp page. If you want to join our WhatsApp page, you can let us know also in the comment section. All questions will be answered. This will be done, accordingly. So just kindly like the video. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, this is the right time. You can hit the subscribe button. It is free. You're not paying to subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button and also try to turn on the notification bell so that whenever we have programs, you can receive a notification. All right. I hope we are all blessed. I am blessed. I hope you have also been blessed. I've been so blessed learning from the life of Job. I hope you are blessed too. Let's have a wonderful time. Let's have a wonderful day.